Tired of fantasy literature that caters only to wine-ounds and activists? Tired of love triangles and unlikable girl bosses? Tired of propaganda disguised as entertainment? If so, check the Guilds of Avlaan series, a series like no other ever written in the Western market, with cute and funny female leads and dashing male protagonists. This series is full of adventure and exciting landscapes. Do not let others decide what you enjoy. Look for what you enjoy. If you are interested, the link is in the description. Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here with another video, and by the time I am recording this, well, Mexico has gone to shit. I'm going to upload it a week after I record it. I had other plans for this month's video, but I decided to address this one because I was thinking about this, and I don't want to talk about the situation in my country. I was thinking about this after I saw something related to the Chibi reviews this situation. Someone posted an image of Hitler comforting him, which humanized Hitler instead of making him look evil. And then I began to think about other things that the left has done which don't have don't have the intended result. And I realized something. The left is verbally weak. The left is verbally weak. Um, they lack the verbal ability to deliver their ideas. Their insults are weak. An example of that is the fact that you see the left often losing control over the terms they try to coin, and that the right and that they often adopt terms used by the right, like cock, for example, cuckold, and meanwhile their terms lose power over time or are used against them. For example, another case of that is the term woke itself was coined by leftists trying to portray themselves as enlightened and awakened. Now it's considered an insult. Now it's considered you're a fucking idiot. Another example is how the certain sectors of the left that are trying to hijack our hobbies coined the term hoodwibs, trying to say like we are the superior otaku community. And it ended up used as an insult against them. Basically, every single term the left coins to their advantage ends up becoming an insult against them. And every single term that they coin trying to use it as an insult fails in one way or another. For example, the term chod. The term chod, which they started to use as an insult, I don't know why or how it came to be, but basically the right began to say like, yeah, we are that. For example, the how they use Nazis, which is why I began to think of this after seeing that picture portraying chibi reviews being comforted by Hitler. The way they use Nazis basically took all potency from the word, and basically being called a Nazi is just basically being to the right of Stalin, which Hitler was, mind you, barely to the right of Stalin. And it's funny because they basically can't control language as they want. Another example of this is the fact that, well, as I said, the insults on the right, like thought, cock, cuckold, um, soy boy, they gain power. The left is using soy as an insult now. Meanwhile, insults from the left, I can't even think of them because as I can't remember many because they lose relevance, they lose power, they lose value. They don't have bite. For example, one I remember, two actually that I remember that were used and they have fallen out of relevance were Shetlord and Asshat. They loved using that last one. Shedlord was just like Chod, taken by the right as a badge of honor, and Ashat, almost nobody uses it. And for example, for me, I am a second language English speaker. My first language is Spanish. I'm a native Spanish speaker. So I am an expert at insults because in Spanish insults are essential to our language. And one thing I noticed, which kind of contributes to that, is that, for example, when you say someone is a cock, it has a meaning. A cock is someone who gets cheated on, and especially someone who enjoys it. Another example, a soy boy is a male whose consumption of soy has destroyed his hormones. They have a meaning. They have a potency because they have a meaning, which is universal. I mean, it can be translated. But what's an asshat? I I can't conceive the idea. I am not a native speaker. I can't visualize an asshat. I can't. I can visualize a cuckold. I can visualize a soy boy. An asshat is not. How do I say it? It's not real enough to have bite because you can use the term. It's not as you can I can't abstract the term. But that's the thing. It's too abstract to have bite, and an insult needs to have bite. It needs to be hurtful. That's another thing. And even when it comes to slurs, the left and in general, basically everyone who is not white is really bad with the slurs. I mean, cracker barely feels like an insult. And I can say it because it barely feels like an insult. But the insults white people have made to minorities, I can't even say them in this video because they will lead to my video being deleted. Why? Because they have strength. Because they have more strength as insults. The left is entirely incapable of giving a strong insult that really makes you feel insulted. Their insults are so close to minced oaths and to schoolyard insults. They are almost baby talk. And that's another particularity of the way the left speaks. They are verbally, like, delayed, to say the least. The way they speak is too childish. They are verbally too childish, too immature, too puerile to have bite. Insults that are like schoolyard insults don't have much bite. Insults don't have much bite. And when it comes to more serious ideas, having a very reduced verbiage, which is also puerile in nature, makes your delivery of your ideas weak. One example of this is the fact that many leftists, when you use words that have a more complexity that they can process, they will say you start talking like Sephiroth. I haven't played Final Fantasy VII, so I have no idea how Sephiroth talks. But I don't think I talk like him, because what little I saw of him talking was in the movie. I did watch the movie. The reason I haven't played the games is mostly related to time, but I did watch the movie, and I don't see me. I don't see myself talking like him. I don't imagine myself talking like him. He's too theatrical and grandiose for my style. I'm more colloquial. I'm sometimes even vulgar. I actually try to expand my verbiage. I had a more expanded lexicon in college and in high school. I think I have dumbed down my way of speaking out of laziness, out of bad habits, and maybe brain damage. I have I have insomnia. I fear suffering from the brain damage. I also I basically fear losing my brain. I basically fear becoming less intelligent, and I am a fucking hypochondriac too. So basically, I think I have brain damage. Maybe I don't. Odds are I don't, but I am a hypochondriac, so I think I do. The thing is, I'm trying to expand my verbiage. I am trying to improve the way I talk. Back in high school, I actually used many archaic terms because of video games. Now I have moved for more colloquial terms because I have gotten used to them, thanks to interacting with native speakers. But that's the thing. My verbiage is very vernacular nowadays, and I am not near the level mm, of low quality speech the left is capable of. They always make everything into baby talk. They talk like they are talking in baby talk. You can see it in how they talk, and in part, I think it's because of political correctness. It's because they can't allow themselves to sound too rude, too insulting. So they use aggression in other ways. Physical aggression, threats, yelling, making statements of violence, but they avoid using aggressive words. Even when they display violent intent, they avoid using aggressive words, and I think it's because of political correctness. An early example of that, and you can find it in the writing too. Millennial writing has plenty of these insults that barely feel like an insult, and they feel like you are talking to someone less intelligent than yourself. Uh, an early example of this to me, for like the first time I began to notice this, was this comic. I think it was titled Angela, Queen of Hell, in which you have this devil yelling non-specific things because they don't write what the demon is yelling. They just put boxes which what you are supposed to expect, with one of the most infamous being unsolicited opinions on Israel. It doesn't say anything in specific. It says the guy said unsolicited opinions on Israel, but it doesn't say what the opinions are. It doesn't say what the opinions are, and that's with all the other things. It doesn't say what the character is saying. Uh, uh, the character has basically no dialogues there. It just tells you what is supposed to be in those dialogues without being specific. It's vague. It's lacking in strength once again. And I think it's because of that. Because the left doesn't want to be offensive. Because of political correctness, they need to limit their verbiage. They cannot allow themselves to use words that they have deemed as unacceptable, or any sort of speech that they have deemed as forbidden. They refuse to engage in basically in thought crime by even thinking of the terms they don't want to use. And it's funny because it results in some very stupid things. Also ironic if you now see that panel and you see that unsolicited opinions on Israel, and now you think, well, isn't the left the ones that are more aggressive about Israel nowadays? It's funny. It's funny how they basically switch their opinions based on political correctness once again. I think that's the source of it, but it has damaged entertainment and literature a lot. I think one of the reasons writing is so awful is exactly because of the loss of verbal skills caused by the left. That's also why I'm worried, because I think maybe watching the first season of Rick and Morty did damage my verbal abilities. I want to undo that. I want to reverse the damage. I do all I can to reverse the damage, even if I begin to speak like a Shakespearean character. I would rather do that than continue this path of losing verbal abilities, because I am a writer. I need those verbal abilities to improve my quality. I value those verbal abilities, and that's the other thing with the left. Even the writers are terrible at. at the speech. They don't have good speech. They don't have a strong speech, and there is an obsession with fecal terms in the way the left talks. There is a focus on some really nasty fecal terms. I don't know why. They are basically they talk like children. In that regard, they talk like children. Children whose strongest insults are poop head and ass head. And that's the best they can accomplish because don't you dare sing something worse. And I can't say something worse here because you know if I say something worse this video is gone. But you know the kind of insults we use, the kind of insults we can use, especially here in Mexico, and the kind of insults people on the right, especially those who do hold racist views, they use some really strong ones, and that's the thing. They are strong. That's the difference. They have bite. And in general, that's the whole difference. And as I said, the left always says you talk like Sephiroth. No, dude, I just talk like an adult. I just talk like an adult with enough verbal knowledge to write a complex sentence. If you can't do that, it's not my fault. It's not my fault you can't do that. And it's funny because even the way, for example, that Latins, they tried to coin that as a good thing, as a way to not offend the Latino community. It became a slur. The left is really verbally weak. That's my point. The left is so verbally weak, they can't control the language as they want. They try. I am not saying they try. I'm not saying they don't try. I'm saying they fail. And you can see it, for example, in the whole neo pronouns thing and the pronouns in general. They try really hard to control language. They just can't. They just can't because they are not smart enough. Because they don't have good verbiage. Because they are verbally weak. And it's funny. It's funny when you start thinking about that, about the fact that the left really cannot make strong insults, that they cannot make compelling stories, that they cannot make a strong villain, that they cannot make a good protagonist, because they are verbally weak. They are verbally weak. Their verbiage is basically limited to elementary school level. We are dealing with overgrown children, with evil, violent, overgrown school bullies. That's what the left is. Evil, violent, overgrown school bullies who haven't gotten past that stage in life where bullying the social outcast guaranteed your safety from other bullies. Well, that's it for today. Have a good one.